Hello again, Michael here from Midnight Point. If this is your first time listening, my previous two videos give a foundational background for what I'll be presenting today. So if you haven't watched them, you'll want to check them out. I'll also soon be giving a Facebook Live presentation and space for conversation, sharing, and Q&A. I will soon have a website for my services and teachings. This site will also have information about future retreats I will offer, which go more deeply and experientially into the topics I cover. Today we'll be exploring the human life from birth to age 7. This material is useful for one's own biography work, of course, also for parents and teachers to help gain a deeper understanding of their children and how to appropriately meet their needs. Well, of course, this subject already fills many books. Yet today, I will give a brief but complete enough picture to be useful. For an astrological perspective to this, please see my earlier video, Pluto, the lunar nodes, Saturn, and the moon. As we all know, we are physically born. And even though our physical body is then free from our mother's body, it continues to develop and grow. We are still held by the etheric formative life force body of our mother after birth. This is the main influence on our own formative life force body. And even though an individual's life forces are also affected by how we are raised and by our environment, it's the mother's etheric body, which is the template, provides a template which we copy, if you will, or base our own etheric development upon. During the earliest years, the etheric is occupied with organ development. The child gradually becomes able to control their own motor functions. The abilities of the child follow the movement of the rhythm of the etheric body as it flows from the periphery and up and down the body. In one respect, this can be seen in the child's relationship to horizontality and verticality. At first, the infant can only flail its arms and legs around rather chaotically, then later flip itself over, sit up, and begin to move its limbs to crawl. Usually before the end of the first year, the child, in its ability to stand and walk, truly begins its relationship to verticality. This idea behind the use of walkers and bouncers only addresses the superficial, even misunderstood need of the child to exercise their legs. This actually weakens the will of the child if they are used too often. These contraptions determine the movements of a child, which do not then allow them to exercise their own will forces as they endeavor to penetrate into their own limbs. The young child has a need for rhythm, to be carried about in parents' arms with a rhythmic walk, a cradle that rocks, a swing, a rocking chair, along with songs and rhymes, the repetition of stories, regular daily family routines. All these have a direct and profound effect on the mood of the child, but also the physiological rhythms and well-being, which then feeds the child's own sense of security, also pleasure of living. The activities of the life force and the will can also be seen in the development of speech and by the teeth. By approximately the 7th year, children usually have all their milk teeth. A third of the way through this first period, the average vocabulary of a 2-plus-year-old child is about 200 words. A 4-year-old child, about 1,500 to 1,600 words. In 6 to 7 years, between 5,000 and even 20,000 words. At this time, the child is born free of the mother's etheric body, and the child's life forces are then free to become more individualized. And as these life forces are gradually freed up from organ development, they're available then for speech and systematic learning. Memory awakens at around age 4, But thinking only begins to wake up out of a very dreamy world in the next 7-year period. So early intellectual academic lessons take from these life forces. Yeah, some children are capable of learning intellectually, but it has its consequences later in life. There's plenty of time for this kind of learning. It's better to have play and nature experiences, along with imaginative stories, namely fairy tales, nature stories. These all help build a stronger foundation for later academic work. During this first 7-year epoch, and I can't stress this enough, imitation is the natural medium for learning, not the intellect. The child is a living sensorial sponge. They take in everything in the environment around them, which imprints upon the child's entire inner life, even right down into the physical. Because of this reality of the developing child, the adults who interact with them can healthily meet the child's needs by providing examples, being examples, and giving activities that exemplify what is good in the world. Teachers in particular need to stand before the children as if they are priests and priestesses encountering the sacred. Now I'll give you questions for you to ponder. What is your first memory? Which sense impressions have stayed with you your whole life regarding smells, colors, sensations, sounds? Who do you look more like, your mother or father? Has that changed over the years? What do you experience in your child when you read them a fairy tale? Do you remember your experiences of having fairy tales read to you or told to you? Have you noticed how children respond or react to abstract explanations? As a young child, did you do household activities with your parents or grandparents, like bread baking, sweeping, gardening? Or were you just a witness to these things? Did you have regular meal times in your family? Did you eat together? If you did, what did you find important about that experience? How did you experience holidays with your family? Do you do some of the same things you did as a child with your own child? If you have any thoughts or questions about the contents of this video, please comment on this page. And I will be making one more video on another 7-year phase, then move on to another topic. As I mentioned before, I will choose the most requested 7-year phase. My next topic will be human biography, but in the relationship to spiritual practice. You'll find my Facebook Live on my Midnight Point Consulting and my Midnight Point Astrology pages. I hope to converse with you there. The retreat, From Karma to Mastery, will be held in the beautiful Sacred Valley of Longevity in Vilcabamba, Ecuador in 2020, later on, probably in the fall. I'll be giving the dates fairly soon, so stay tuned. I hope to see you soon. Blessings on your day and blessings on your journey. You're on your journey to know yourself.